Hey, what is up, everybody? Man, I'm so glad to be back with you guys. Who missed us last week? Anybody? Was it just me? A couple of you guys? All right. There was no last week. I know I missed you. I missed your face. I wanted to hang out with you guys last week, but we're all get together again here tonight one more time. In case anybody maybe forgot who I am, I'm just the silly guy that gets up here on stage and talks for 20 minutes. I don't actually do anything around here. I'm a professional 9-square player in case anybody was actually wondering. But my name is Jack. I'm so stoked to be here with you guys tonight. Like Alex said, if you have a Bible, open it up to Daniel chapter number 6. That's where we're going to be finishing our series this evening. Now, if you've never opened up a Bible before, you have no idea what it looks like, that's totally cool. You're in the right spot, and I'm glad you're here. You're going to open up to page 526. Page 526 is going to look like this. You'll see a bunch of words on here. You'll see a big number 6. That is the chapter of Daniel that we are working through right now. So while you guys all do that, one thing that I wanted to share with you all is I got a new guitar. I'm teaching myself how to play guitar. Thank you. So here's the thing, right? So when I was in middle school, there was either a choice of I had to go to art class or I could be in band. That was the only choice I was given. And I am not an artistic person at all. I can't draw. I can barely write my own name legible enough. So I picked band. And that meant that I had to play the tuba. So I played the tuba in 7th grade band, which was a hoot of a time. And that's the last time I've ever picked up a musical instrument. And so I was scrolling on TikTok the other day, and I was like, man, so many cool people play guitar, and so many of my friends play guitar, and I want to be cool like them. So I got a guitar. I got it from my friend, and let's just say my dog runs out of the room anytime I try to play this guitar, okay? I'm not very good at it. It's only been about 2 weeks, and so I've only started to learn the chords. Here's the hard part, though, is you have to strum different patterns as you're moving your hands to different. It's a hoot of a time trying to learn how to play. Does anybody in here know how to play guitar? A couple of you guys? All right, you guys are way cooler than me. That's all I need to know. But here is the thing that I realized, and I was pondering this question to myself as I was teaching myself how to play guitar. I was curious how long it would actually take for me to become what they would consider a master of playing the guitar. I was fascinated by this idea of how long would I have to practice playing the guitar in order to be considered a master? Now, I wanted to ask first and foremost, is anybody in here a master at something? Would you consider yourself a master of your craft? Oh, yes. What are you a master of? Sleep. Hey, amen, dude. Sleeping. I love it. What about you? What are you a master of? Eating, hey, dude, that's my guy. Eating donuts. Aiden, what about you? Piano. Aiden is hey, side note, Aiden is a legit master of piano. Just need to put that out there. All right, so let me ask you this question. If I played guitar for 30 minutes every day, I'm talking every single day without fail, Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's, I played guitar for 30 minutes every day, and I played for an entire year, how many of you would consider me to become a master of the guitar? A couple of you. All right, let's do this. Let's double it. If I played the guitar for an hour, 60 minutes, for 1 hour every single day, now for a year, how many of you would consider me to be a master? All right, so more of the room. Here's the reality. Here's something crazy. There's this book. It's called Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. You'll read it here in a couple years in high school. And he talks about this idea that in order to be considered a master of something, you have to perform that craft for 10,000 hours. Let me repeat that one more time. You have to perform a craft for 10,000 hours. That's a long time, all right? So here, I did some math for you so you don't have to hurt your brains too much, okay? If I practice my guitar every day for 30 minutes, without fail, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, without fail, I practice my guitar for 30 minutes every single day. It would take me 54 years to reach 10,000 hours. Wild. Okay, what did we say? Was it an hour? That was the other one. If I practice my guitar for an hour every single day, does anybody want to guess how long it would take me to become a master? How many? How long would it take me? No, not 2 days. I wish. It would take me 27 years to become a master of this guitar. All right? Now look, I took the median age of all the students here in this room, okay? And I said, if everybody in here is roughly 13 years old, okay? If anybody's in here is roughly 13 years old, I would have to practice the guitar for 2.1 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, 52 weeks out of the year, it would take me 13 years to be considered a master of the guitar. Now, some of you aren't even 13 years old yet, which is crazy to me. And that's wild, but here is the even crazier thing that I realized. This guy that we've been talking about for the last 5 weeks, this guy named Daniel, there's literally a book in the Bible written about this dude. Daniel was a master too, but it wasn't a master of guitar, it wasn't a master of art, it wasn't a master of singing. Daniel was a master of faithfulness, all right? That's one thing I want you to write down real quick on your note card, all right? Master of faithfulness, okay? And it leads us to this big idea that we've been talking about all series long. But as we wrap up, we're talking about what it really means to stand out for God. What does it mean for you as a middle school student in 2025 to stand out for God? Now, the reality is, everybody in this room wants to make a difference. I want to make a difference. I'm sure your parents want to make a difference. All of the leaders want to make a difference. That's why they're here to begin with. We all want people to see something real. We want people to see something different about our lives. We want people to look at us and go, man, that dude, that chick, like that girl, like they're rock stars. They're awesome people. But standing out doesn't just happen in one big moment. There wasn't just one big moment where I got on stage and all of a sudden I'm just standing out in front of the rest of the crowd. For you, it may be a basketball game or an art project or a math test that you got to prepare for each and every single day. But standing out happens in all of those tiny little small moments that you don't think matter, but actually make a difference. See, faithfulness isn't flashy, it's not loud, and it is not something that you post on social media, but it is showing up when nobody else is around you. It's getting some extra shots up at basketball practice when your coach is gone. It's spending that extra 30 minutes on your math homework so that you can master whatever thing you're going through. Or maybe it's you read and write a presentation that you're going to give, and instead of just winging it, like you practice it in a mirror. It's all of these tiny little things that add up. And if we're honest, it's not easy, especially being in middle school. Trying to stand out, trying to make small changes each and every single day is not something that's easy in your position. Because there's so much noise that's around you. Maybe it's popularity, maybe your friends want you to fit in, maybe you're trying to, hang out with this girl that's like super cool, but like she likes this different type of music, so you pretend that you like that kind of music. Like there's all these different things about go on. And yet in all that noise, God is calling us to live differently. Not to be perfect, because none of us are perfect, but to be faithful one decision at a time. To be faithful in each and every single step that we do. So tonight we're going to be reading how Daniel stood out, not by showing off, but by staying faithful. You guys ready? All right, so join me in Daniel chapter number 6. So Daniel chapter 6 opens up with King Darius. King Darius is promoting Daniel to be one of the highest positions in the entire kingdom. Now, if you remember the last time we gathered together, we looked at Daniel in the fire, and Daniel was roughly your age at this time. Decades have passed. Daniel is much older now, and now he has reached that level of 10,000 hours of his faithfulness with God. He has spent the time, he has perfected this craft of being faithful to God. But Daniel is still standing out in this sense. So here's what we're going to do. Verse number 3 is where we're going to pick up today. So that tiny little number 3 under the big number 6. Verse number 3 of Daniel chapter 6. Daniel soon proved himself more capable than all the other administrators and high officers. Because of Daniel's great ability, the king made plans to place him over the entire empire. Seems like a pretty big deal, right? King Darius had just reorganized his entire empire. Daniel, now being an older man, a more well-practiced man, isn't just chasing power, but he is simply faithful in his work. He's simply faithful in showing up every single day to his job. And his consistency earns trust. However, it also stirs a lot of jealousy with all of the other people. Check with me in verse number 4, right underneath verse number 3. Then the other administrators and high officers began searching for some fault in the way Daniel was handling government affairs. But they couldn't find anything to criticize or condemn. He was faithful, always responsible, and completely trustworthy. Man, how cool is that to be faithful, always responsible, and completely trustworthy? So these other leaders did not like Daniel because he was good at his job. And so this is what they decided to do. If they couldn't attack his skills, they would attack the one thing he was a master of, and that was his worship. They would attack the one thing that made Daniel different, and that was his worship. So they convinced the king. They're like, hey, dude, we need you to sign this law. For 30 days, nobody is allowed to pray to any god except to you. And if they do, check this. Instead of getting thrown into a pit of fire, they're going to get thrown into a den full of lions. They're going to get locked into a den overnight, and there is no getting out of that place, and those lions are hungry. Let me tell you, if they pray to anybody else except for you, king, they are locked into a den of lions. So then check this, verse number 10. But when Daniel learned that the law had been signed, he went home and knelt down as usual in his upstairs room. With its windows open towards Jerusalem, he prayed 3 times a day. Check this out. Read with this with me. Just as he had always done, giving thanks to his God. Notice that line, just as he had always done. Daniel didn't start praying from a position of worry. He didn't start praying from a position of fear. Daniel kept praying because that is what he has always done. This is what mastering faithfulness looks like. This is what it means to be a master of your faith. Repetition, consistency, and your daily practice of talking to God. So the officials report him. The king's like, man, dude, I'm so heartbroken because you're my best friend. Like I love you. You're doing such great work, but dude, you broke the law that I just signed. And so the king, not really willing, but has to, takes Daniel in the middle of the night, and they take him to a lion's den. And in the night, the king can't sleep. He's so nervous. He's so anxious because his friend is sitting in this tomb full of lions, just knowing that he's not going to make it out of this. And so the king wakes up the next morning. He's fearful and he panics. And at dawn, he runs out to the den. And in verse 21, it says this, Daniel, servant of the living God, was your God whom you serve so faithfully able to rescue you from the lions? And then it paused. And then Daniel answered in verse 21 and said, long live the king. My God sent his angel to shut the lion's mouth so that they would not hurt me, for I have been found innocent in his sight, and I have not wronged you, your majesty. And then verse 23, the king was overjoyed and ordered that Daniel be lifted from the den. Not a scratch was found on him, for he had trusted in his God. And because Daniel stood out for God, because Daniel was consistent in his faith, because he was a master of faithfulness, the king himself came to know who the real God was. Verse 26, the king is speaking, I decree that everyone throughout my kingdom should tremble with fear before the God of Daniel. For he is the living God and he will endure forever. His kingdom will never be destroyed and his rule will never end. He rescues and saves his people. He performs miraculous signs and wonders in the heavens and on earth. He has rescued Daniel from the power of the lions. Daniel didn't just survive the lion's den. He didn't just make it out. His faith changed an entire nation. Daniel wasn't doing this to chase recognition. He wasn't doing this to chase power. He wasn't doing this to get, a better job. But his excellence was pursued because he served the one and only true living God. And that leads us to our first point this evening. Excellence makes you stand out. There's 4 points. This is the first one. Point number 1, excellence makes you stand out. And his excellence wasn't a show, it was actually a habit. And when we choose excellence, not perfection, hear me, excellence and perfection are not the same thing because nobody in this room is perfect. But when we choose excellency for doing our best for God, it makes us shine so bright. And this could be in your classroom, this could be on your sports team, this could be at the kitchen table when you guys are having dinner at night. Excellency isn't about performance, but it is all about purpose. It is doing ordinary things with a God-honoring heart. Excellency has nothing to do with your performance. You can be excellent and get a B on a math test. But excellency is all about purpose. And see, that moment Daniel started to live differently, people noticed and not everyone likes it. Because point number 2, faithfulness will bring opposition. When you are faithful to God, when you stand out in front of others, people will not like it, and middle school is like that too. When you choose not to cheat on a test, when you choose not to gossip, when you choose not to make fun of somebody sitting at the lunch table, you stand out, and standing out can sometimes mean standing alone. Those officials did not like Daniel precisely because he was excellent and honest. They did not like Daniel because he was not like them. And when you decide to live with integrity, expect some resistance. But hear this. Opposition is not a sign that you are failing. Somebody opposing you is not a sign you are failing. It is actually often proof that your light is shining so bright that it is reflecting on that person and making them see the wrongs in their heart. Jesus even said, "Blessed are you when people mock you because of me." And faithfulness sometimes may look lonely, but just know that you are never actually alone. And if we go back to our story from last week, we see that God even joins us in that moment. But looking back at verse 10, Daniel prayed the same way before and after that law was signed. Nothing changed about what he did because pressure didn't rewrite his priorities. Because point number 3, character doesn't change with circumstance. Your character should not change with the circumstances that are around you. When the law said don't pray, Daniel didn't panic or throw a fit. He opened his windows and did what he'd always done. He knew that who you are in secret shapes who you will be in the spotlight. My coach always said that to me. He's like, hey, it matters what you do when I'm not looking at you, not what you do when I am looking at you. That's character. Character is forged long before any crisis ever arrives. And you see somebody's character in that moment when the light is shining bright on them and what they had been doing all alone by themselves. And lastly, when the king watched Daniel walk out of the den, he saw something more than just survival. He saw the power of Daniel's God. He saw the power of Daniel's God. And your consistency might feel small, but check this, point number 4. Your faith can truly impact others. Now, I know you're sitting there going, dude, I'm 12 years old. Like, how can my faith impact others? Hear me. If it wasn't for my best friend when I was in middle school that's like, hey, dude, I'm going to church. I would love for you to come with me. I would not be here with you guys all today. Your faith can truly impact others. And faith that stands out is faith that points other people to Jesus. And your faithfulness today could literally change somebody else's tomorrow. It can change somebody else's future. It can change somebody else's eternity, all because you were faithful. So, here's what I know, all right? I am surely not a master of this guitar. I am surely not a master of many things. But neither are you, and neither is anybody, neither was Daniel in this moment. But nobody becomes a master overnight. It takes time. It takes practice, and that's what we're going to do right now. We are going to practice. So here's what I need you to do. Have your note card with you, all right? If you have one, great. If you don't have one, borrow one from your partner next to you. Here's what I want you to do on your note card. I want you to write this out. This week, I will practice faithfulness by. This week, I will practice faithfulness by. Now, we're going to give you a minute, give you 30, 45 seconds. Think of one way that you can practice faithfulness. It can be real small, it can be real big, but a faithful action that you can take this week. Maybe it's reading your Bible, maybe it's spending time with your mom, maybe it's, being kind to people in your class, whatever it may be. But this isn't about being perfect. It is about practicing faithfulness 1% better, one day at a time, year over year, day after day, being faithful to the God who loves us. So take 30 seconds and write out something that you can practice faithfulness by. All right, if you're still writing, that's okay. But here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Take that card. I want you to hold it right up here to your chest, just like this. All right, take your card, hold it just like this to your chest. And I'm going to say a prayer. We're all going to close our eyes. We're all going to bow our heads. But here's what I'm going to ask you to do. I want you to repeat this prayer with me in your head. All right? In your head, in your heart, holding the thing that you can practice being faithful with by next to you. Here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Pray after me in your own heart, in your own head. God, help me to practice faithfulness this week. Help me show excellence in everything that I do. Help me stand strong even when others don't. And help me remember that my faith can make an impact. God, we give you our life. God, we want to practice faithfulness. Lord, teach us to stand out for you, not for attention, but for your glory. Make each and every single person in this room a light that shines so bright in the darkness. God, we all love you so much. We are all so grateful for you. God, I pray that even just a piece of Daniel's faithfulness could infect this entire room. That we all can become masters of our faith, masters of our walk with you by spending a little bit of time practicing each and every single day. God, we love you so much. We are so glad to be back here in this room with you. And it is your name that we say. And everybody said, amen. This week, you're not walking out just as the same person as you walked in. This week, hear me, check me when I say this. This week, you are walking out as a disciple in training. Just as you might practice a guitar, just as you might practice football, just as you might practice anything, practice your faith. Because your faith will show up in moments when it needs you. Your faith is just as important as everything else in your life. I love football, I do. I love baseball, I love playing this guitar, but nothing is more important to me than my faith. And if I'm not practicing my faith as much as I'm practicing my guitar, as much as I'm practicing something else, then something's wrong. You need to practice your faithfulness every single day. All right, can you guys do that for me? Sound good? Cool.